Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you back to YoungMartin'sReels. Today, I have a choice of any of these three reels. I have to get these three reels done for Mario so I can get them back to him, and that'll take about 16 reels out of my immediate work area. So the quicker I get those done, the better it's going to be. And these are probably going to be my last three reels of the year that I post videos on. Then in January, we'll start back up. I'm going to clean all this mess up and get it all put away for the holidays. So I'm going to try to get these three reels done. I'm going to film them probably all three today, but I'm going to shoot or edit the videos later on. That leaves me with these three reels. This one, which is the Daiwa Millionaire 3RM. And this one, when Mario first brought it to me, it would barely turn. If you pushed in the button, you couldn't spin the spool at all. And I played with it a little bit last night. I've got it better. I haven't gone all the way through it, but I'm going to. We also have this Ambassadeur 5500C. And this is going to be, I think, the project for today, or this Daiwa Procast, Procaster PMF 1500. One of these two is definitely going to be the one for today, and I think we'll go ahead, make the decision, and let's make it the Ambassadeur 5500C, and we're going to take this one and get it cleaned up. This one is already doing so much better than it was when I received it. Before, you couldn't hardly turn it when you hit the button. And it still has that problem. Notice that? Push the button in, it's not staying. Sometimes if you get the handle in the right position, it will stay. But if it's like over here and you push the button in, it pops back out every time. So we're going to take this apart, see what we can do to clean that up. Get the, see if we can get it fixed. It's also kind of noisy, but I don't know if that's an inherent attribute of the reel. We're going to find out. So let's get started on this. We're going to start off by taking off the handle, removing the nut lock, and now let's see if we can, let's see, I think we're going to have to step up. There we go. One more. Okay. See what we're looking at here. I believe we have a screw in the top of this that we have to remove. I have a very thin wide bladed screwdriver that I think will do the job on that. There we go. Now this isn't your typical screwdriver. I took this rather large screwdriver that I bought at a yard sale, and I ground the sides of it down until the tip was very, very thin. And I did that for things just like this screw. I've got a lot of specialty made screwdrivers in my pile over there. And yeah, we're going to have to straighten it. Okay, if you look at this handle, the handle is bent. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to lay this handle down flat like this. And then I'm going to take and wrap on it right in the middle. There. Now it's nice and straight again. Okay, and I'll scrub it all up so that it works nice. We're going to be doing that again. So I'm going to wait for a minute to take this down. This star washer, if I remember, also has a bent tab on it. And yeah, see there? Yeah, we've got to figure out which one is bent up. Unfortunately, it's this one bent the wrong direction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place a screwdriver right there, like like so. There. And that's reasonably straight again. Gotta remove my board. And let's get back to work. All right. Gonna remove these 3 screws. All right, now before I lose these, I'm gonna go ahead and remove them. These are your weights for your counterbalance on your casting. So we'll remove those so we don't lose them. And then we're going to inspect the teeth on these gears, make sure they're good. And I'm going to come back and scrub those, get them all cleaned up. The next part I want to work on is going to be this side case over here. We're going to put this side over to the side for the moment. And let's remove these 3 screws. Take this side cover off. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove this screw, take this off. And the reason I'm going to do that is this needs to be scrubbed in behind here a little bit. I took it off last night and cleaned it up a little bit, but we're going to scrub this up a little better. The only thing I did last night was kind of lubricated things. Okay, we're going to take that cap off, pull that out. And that should leave us this bearing, which I'm hoping we can push out. Yep, there goes the bearing out. And we'll check it out today and make sure that it's in good shape. We'll clean and lubricate that. All right, and that's all disassembled. Now let's move over to this other side. We're going to slide this. Let's slide in a little bit. Okay. We're going to slide this over like so, and then remove it off of there. And now this would come out, but it's still got this screw here, or pawl holding it in. So we'll take and remove the pawl cap like so. And then we'll remove the pawl. And the thing about pawls is most of them, or a large number of them, are made of steel. And if they are, you can remove them with a magnet. This particular one is not made out of steel. So we'll grab hold of it. See if we can pull it out. There we go. And you really want to work hard at trying to clean these up. See all that? All of that works inside there, and that fights every time you try to cast this out. You're fighting against all that dirt. So make sure that you've wiped that clean. With the pawl removed, you should be able to slide this all the way out. Now you can take this out like this, and that'll allow you to scrub that all nice and clean again. Let's set that over to this side. And that brings us to this frame, and we're going to scrub this frame nice and clean, get all the dirt and everything off of it. Now, take a look at our carrier. It looks fine except for dirty. Now, we're going to go to this side cover. And let's see what we need to do here. We'll start off by removing these 2 screws. All right, this is somewhat interesting. Normally, your yoke has springs on it. This yoke does not have springs in your normal configuration, although it does have the ramp. So it does have a yoke, but it's not on 2 posts like most yokes are. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and rotate, and that should release it. That sends us back up there. All right, here's our anti-reverse, and it is off at the moment. And it's very dirty, but aside from that, it looks okay. We've got a collar right here. Let's see what all we have here. We have a collar. Oh, collar with a washer stuck to it. Okay, so this is just a simple, let's refocus our attention. There we go. We have a collar, plain plastic collar that's keyed. Next goes 2 brass shim washers. On top of that goes a flat steel washer, followed up by a curved tension washer, followed up by a bell washer. It's here on the top, and I believe there may be a washer on top of that. No, that's just keyed that way. And there's a bell washer, goes on top. And let's see if we can slide that on out. There is a fabric washer, a hard fabric washer on the bottom. On the top, let's see what we have up here. We have a practically worn out, it appears, fiber or leather washer. Okay, it's a leather washer. And I did manage to get it pulled back up and out of there. We'll clean up all of this, which remains of the leather washer, which was stuck to it. On the bottom, this is one of those that you don't want to lose. The very bottom, there's a copper washer. It goes right here. Okay, and if you manage to lose that, what's going to happen is this is all going to sit down too far, and it's going to knock out the way that it sits, and it becomes unsynchronized, and it starts rubbing. Okay, now we have a spring inside this that doesn't want to come out, so I'm not going to force it out of there. As a matter of fact, if you look, it's swedged down in there. See those little places? Those swedge the spring in. All right, we're going to clean this up. I'm going to see if I have a replacement for this washer. It's a very, very thin drag washer. One and only one. And this would not be very easy to replicate that. All right, now that we're here, let's see. Let's take a look at this anti-reverse pawl. And it's got a lot of dirt on it. But is it damaged? It doesn't appear to be. Okay. We'll keep that over there. And let's see what it would take to take this thing apart any further than what it is right now. And if I can see what's causing this to pop back out. I think it's right here. What's happening is because it's all sticky, it's not sliding where it's supposed to. All right. Now I could take these springs off, but that's not really gaining us anything. So what we're going to do, we're going to spray this whole thing down, and we're going to scrub it good with a brush just to get it all nice and clean and lubricated, and then we'll oil it good. And I would like to take this out, which I believe I can. All right. So that's all taken apart. I am going to show how I cleaned this particular part, just because it's one of those things that isn't that easy for most people to figure out. So we're going to scrub this part up, but the rest of it I'll clean off camera. All right, what we're going to do is spray this down with some WD-40. Any kind of penetrating oil will usually work. They're almost all universally good at dissolving old grease. So WD-40 just happens to be what I'm using. Okay, if you look here, this part right here is pretty dirty, and I think it was the part that was not coming over and locking in place when we would push the button. But I've got it freed up now, and I think it's going to be fine. Flip that one and flip this one. Yep, everything goes back up. And now that it's in the other position, we'll wipe any dirt that's left out from underneath it. And this should take care of the auto popping out button. All right, now I want to clean down inside the pinion gear here. So I pulled some of the cotton off of the swab, and then I run it back through like so, and that cleans up the inside. Now let's take a really good look at the pinion gear, make sure that it's not damaged, ground down, or injured in any way. And once we've done that, I'll come back and grease the pinion gear. And the rest of this is all going to be oiled. Where all these parts slide. That way, push the button in, it latches, it activates the first latch, which is this one, it disables, activate the second latch, there we go, and it comes out. All right, so all of that is now doing what it's supposed to do. We're back now, all the parts have been cleaned and scrubbed, and we're going to start looking towards assembly again. Okay, first thing we need to do is make sure that this pinion is in where it belongs, and it currently is not. There we go, it just fell out of the hole. So I guess we'll bring it up from the bottom side, bring it up, and get those notches aligned in that hole in the plastic. There we go. And now it's installed where it belongs. The next piece it's going to have to go in, it's going to be this assembly right here. And it's going to go in where, if you look, there's two little fingers here. Those two little fingers go on each side of this clicker right here, this cog, like that. Okay, and that is your anti-reverse. As you go forward, it's going to rotate like this and slide along on there. When you try to reverse it, it's going to kick back and step in like that and lock into place. All right, so we're going to want these to be in here. We're going to slide this down like so, and we got to get this hole to line up over this post right here. Okay, so move it over, drop it in place. There we go, like that. Now you've got it in place. Now, if you wanted to try to operate this, that would be fine. The problem is going to be, as you rotate this way without the wall here, it's going to push this out and pop it off. So we're going to wait on that. The next piece it's going to go on is our hard washer. Let's make sure we're focused. Okay, the hard washer slides on here first, like so. And if you wish, in order to help prevent corrosion, what you can do is go ahead and put a light coating of grease on this cog, like so. And you can put a little on the washer itself if you want, and then slide the whole thing down like that. Next is going to go this gear. Now, you remember, this was the drag washer that I peeled up out of there, and it was looking pretty rough. So I went to my stash of old drag washers, and here was one that was in really good shape. So we're going to put it in there. So I'm going to put a little bit, I've scrubbed this out as best I can down inside here, and I'm going to put a little bit of grease down in there. Not a lot. And then I'm going to take the drag washer itself, and I'm going to dip it into my drag washer grease, and then I'm going to rub that in to the leather washer. Once I've got it rubbed in good, I'm going to come back and we're going to slide that inside and until it drops down in like that. Once that's in there, I'll go ahead and slide. Well, before I do that, let's go ahead and grease the gear. And then slide it down. Cog popped out. Let's go ahead and get this on here first. There. And now we'll go ahead and marry this up to the anti-reverse. Remember to slide it onto that cog. Like that. Remember, it has to be on each side of it. And now let's slip it back down and make sure that the anti-reverse goes on that post. Like that. Now that's everything in there except for the bell washer. Slide that down. And notice the bell washer is spring loaded because that copper spring that was in there. I think it's copper and steel actually. I think it's copper coated. Okay, and that's going to spring that back up. Next, if you remember correctly, we had this tension washer. It's keyed, so it fits on like so. Next goes the heavy solid steel washer with no key in the middle. Then goes these 2 copper shims. And last but not least goes on the plastic sleeve. That's got all of them back together. This part, there. Do not pick this up by this, or it's going to just slide right off like it just did on me. All right, I'm going to set that over to the side. If you remember correctly, we took this gear off, and we took that off so that we could scrub it up clean, get all the dirt and grease and old things that didn't belong in there off of it. Now we're going to put a drop of oil in the middle of it. Go ahead and slide it back on this post. And then we're going to put this screw back in. All right, I took a minute to clean the bearings that were in here. And what I did is I took and put them on the end of a Q-tip and kept adding WD-40 and working them around until they broke loose and just really started free flowing. And the way you really know whether or not it's clean or you're getting dirt out is you can look at the Q-tip afterwards and see how much dirt actually came out of them. So, but we're ready to reassemble this side. Almost. Let's make sure to clean out inside the bearing hole. And make sure that we've cleaned out inside the bearing cap. And we're ready to put the bearing back inside. And this tensioner back inside. Like so. Let's give it one more shot of oil. And we'll go ahead and screw the tensioner on. Just enough for it to hold. It doesn't have to go tight down yet because we're going to have some clearance issues as we put this in. The next thing we have to do is go ahead and reinstall the worm gear. And we'll start off by getting it lined up. Let's see, I believe it will come through the hole. Yeah, that's how we took it out. It goes through the hole. Okay. If you try to feed it through and through from the middle, it won't go. All right, we'll slide it in. The next thing you have to do while you're holding that is let's go ahead, well, before you even slide it in, let's go ahead and slide the carrier assembly on. Put it up there, the top of it, into that slot up above. And then, with that held there, bring it around, put it into this notch in this side. Now, you need to put the worm gear itself in. It slides through the carrier, goes through the other side. Then, we'll put our clip back on, slide it down, and you gotta push it down, make sure it goes under that pin, which right now it doesn't want to do that. I got it going backwards. There we go. All right, like so. With that done, you're ready to reinstall your pawl. Take your pawl, and it's going to go just like this, with one tip facing forward and one tip facing backwards. Drop it into the carrier. Oil it. And then put your pawl cap on. Not ball cap, pawl cap. Make sure not to cross thread it. Screw it down until it just begins to meet resistance. And then go ahead and rotate your worm gear. And if you've got that down far into it, it's going to move. There we go. Now it's going to start moving. Go ahead and tighten it a little more each time. Move it a little more. Tighten it some more. Once you've got it to where it will go all the way over, and all the way back, go ahead and snug it down. Doesn't have to be real tight, just snug. All right, then go ahead and oil your worm gear with a liberal dose of real oil. No grease, only oil. And if it seems to be sticking along this bar up here, you can add a little oil along that bar. Now with that done, we should be ready to stick this side case on. Okay, line it up. The gear should go right here on this gear, gear to gear. Slide it on. You'll have a post right here, which will drop into a hole. Once that's done, your 3 screw holes should line up. Go ahead and add one last bit of oil on that bearing. Put a shot of oil on the end of your spool and set your spool down in there, like so. Now as you rotate it, your worm gear should rotate. Okay, at this point, let's go ahead and put your brakes back on, like so. One on this side, and one on the other side, like so. They should go on dry. You don't need to oil them. Set that over to the side. Set this plate up, and we should be ready at this point to slide this cover on and make sure that your pinion is over here where it can go through, like so. Everything lined up. Get your screws back in. Once you get them started, come back before you tighten them down and make sure that your button is in the notch before tightening this down any further. And now let's see if what happens. Okay, when we rotate it, the button pops. Let's go ahead, snug them up one more time. That's good. Push your button. Hey, look, the button stays in now and pops out as it's supposed to. Now it's time to go ahead and slide all this back together. Let's go ahead. Nope, before we do that, we're missing something here on the end cap. We're going to put the bearing on, pop it down in there. Make sure that it's in there level. And it is round, so it will rotate around. It's made that way on purpose. Okay. Then it's going to go this bell washer. Now on A Ted Williams reel I did once, somebody had put this in backwards. They had put it in this way, and it was causing all kinds of binding and stuff, and it took me a while to find that. Okay, put that one in. Then go these copper plates that go on the end, and if you want these to stay in, the easiest way I know to do it is put just a little bit of grease in the end of the cap. Drop them in, and the grease will make them stick inside. Okay. Like so. Okay. A little bit of dab of grease on those little plates. Push them down in there, and then they'll stay in place. Go ahead now. Put that on the end, screw it down. Not all the way down yet, just a little bit. Hold that in place. Let's go ahead now and push this in. Line up our screws. Thinking that this top plate is not properly aligned with the bottom plate. I'm going to loosen these two screws up a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go. I had the top plate misaligned slightly with the bottom plate, which was keeping these screws from straightening up. So if it looks like you've got an alignment issue, loosen these two screws up till you get the screws all started, and then go ahead and tighten them back down. I had that happen on another reel a while back. All right, we're going to back this out a little bit now. And what does that leave us to put on? Okay, the gear train has been eliminated out of the reel entirely. And yet you can still hear how noisy the bearings are. So this reel really does need a new set of bearings. So Mario, that's what you're going to need if you want to do it. You can try to find you a new set of bearings for this 5500C. And we'll go ahead and put the gear train all back together. My great big fingers and these little bitty brakes don't get along very well. All right. Set that back in. All right. Let's test the drag. Nice strong drag. Although I really don't know how they managed to do that with that little bitty drag washer. And so there you are. The Ambassadeur 5500C. And Mario, that's one more that's done. Down to two. And for those of you who like the video, oh, hang on, we're not done yet. Let's install the lock. Let's see here. I'm either just a hair too tight or not quite tight enough. There we go. Put the nut lock back on. And I got a little carried away. We have one screw left to put back in.